Yo guys, huge update. This is a really fucking exciting video and I actually put in effort for this shit because I had to map it out. Turns out I might not be dropping out after all. You know, question mark, question mark. So what happened this week is basically I sat down with Mr. Heng, Mr. Justin Heng, which is, in case you didn't know, a bio teacher in Hwa Chong. One of the best, actually. And he's one of the best form teachers as well. He's our form teacher and I'm so fucking grateful that I sat down and talked to him because if I didn't, I would be making three huge mistakes. I was making three huge mistakes that could potentially destroy my life, my family's lives, and just make everyone miserable, depressed, and pissed off. Right? So I'm really grateful to have his wisdom imparted to me. And I just want to go through very quickly before I even get to all of this shit, right? And understand the goal of everything over here is for me to attain freedom so that I can, build my business, get to 1 million a year, and then scale further and then create the life of my dreams. But before that, what I need to do is escape, right? Go from hell back to earth first. Because right now, I'm in school, and then there's going to be national service. So the goal over here is very simple, it's freedom. And I've nicknamed this Operation Sovereign. So the three mistakes I made, let's just go through this in detail first, or briefly. First one is having a big dick. And what I mean by this is that I walked into this entire situation with a huge ego. It's really difficult to be different and have completely different goals and aspirations compared to people that are surrounding you and are of your age. And when you are beside them and you have to suppress and act normal, act like you don't have these big dreams, it gets pretty draining. And so the way that I almost vent out this frustration is through doing extremely extreme stuff, which gets me extreme results, which is obviously good, but on the other hand, there are also detriments to it. And so I walked into this thinking, bro, I'm making like 10K a month at 17 and I'm spending literally a third of my life in school and another third sleeping. And so if you minus the biological imperatives, which is like eating, sleep, eating, shitting, all of that stuff, going to the gym, I literally have so little hours every single week to work on a business. And I'm really making 10K a month, which is like what, a doctor's income in Singapore. So I walked into this thinking that I was different, that I was special, that I was better than everyone else. And one very common thread that you can see amongst entrepreneurs especially, and what tends to end up destroying quite a few of these entrepreneurs, is having a huge ego, right? It's hubris. It's thinking that, you are invincible and you can move anything out of your way based on your pure willpower and discipline. It's the hero complex, right? And you can literally see it being reflected in the way I named this entire thing, Operation Sovereign. It's a thing that a lot of entrepreneurs have, because it's not normal to want to build a business, to want to build something out of completely nothing at such a young age, right? It's really unusual to be willing to put yourself through years of suffering and pain and doing things that you don't want to do just to get to, where you want to get to, just to have a business. It's not usual to do that. And obviously there's like underlying drives, which typically tends to be pain because we tend to move away from pain rather than move towards pleasure a little more. But that's a story for another day. And so Mr. Heng basically sat me down, and as I was going through this entire plan, it's like, bro, you're not thinking about the worst case scenario. Right now, you're projecting, the way you're projecting this shit, you're thinking about, okay, the best case. You drop out in March, your parents don't sign, okay, you move out, sure, but then everything after that dies down. You're thinking that, okay, in those 4 months, you're going to collect more cash, and you're thinking that you're going to go to NS and still be able to manage this entire operation. You're thinking that by then, you'll be able to automate things, and you're thinking that by then, you would be able to stay in a rented place, even though you're not even legal yet, or like barely legal, and still be able to function normally despite everything falling around you, right? And that taught me something, which is I should always plan for the worst. there's this fighter pilot, I think it's a fighter pilot, it's called James Stockdale. And what happened is, basically in the Vietnam War, he was fighting the Viets, right? And the Viets shot him down, unfortunately. And bro, just imagine this, like you got shot down by the Viets, you're in war, and then adrenaline is pumping through your veins, and then you're literally fucking holding on to your parachute, dropping down right to enemy territory, as you see like, just 50 plus Viet soldiers pointing their gun up at you, right, ready to capture you as a prisoner of war once you land on their territory, right? Imagine how scary that is. That's what James Stockdale dealt with. And I think he left this killer quote. I'm pretty sure it was him. He said, like, was it Viktor Frankl? I'm not sure, but he said the pessimists die first. And what it means is, in Viktor Frankl, which is basically this dude that survived the Nazi concentration camp, he noticed that the people that die first are the people that are the most optimistic. So obviously conditions are really, really, really damn bad over there. Like, we can't be complaining about Hwa Chong bentos when they literally are like drinking, I don't know, like plain water soup or some shit. But he noticed that people that always, thought they could get home by January or like by Christmas, they were the ones who died first because they had hope. They refused to confront the brutal reality of their situation. And that was what I was doing wrongly as well, right? I was thinking, okay, I'll drop out and be making 50K a month by the next year. But I never asked, what if I don't? What if my clients leave? What if my parents disown me? What if my NS completely kills my business? What if I become 20 years old with nothing? I never thought of the worst case scenario. And when I laid out the worst case scenario, like what Mr. Heng asked me to do, I noticed how dumb my plan truly was. And I'll show you the worst case scenario later, right? And the second thing is, don't fight against the tide. And I remember when I was talking about this to Mr. Heng, I told him about the strategy that Sun Tzu used, Sun Tzu Bing Fa, which was forcing enemies into death ground. Forcing yourself into a death ground, which is basically what Sun Tzu would do to motivate his troops to win, right? Is he would take a losing position, like a really, really bad position, like a low ground, so that his troops will be more motivated to fight and completely dominate the enemy. And I was thinking that I should do that to myself as well, so that I'm desperate enough to win. And so, if you think about my plan, right, if I drop out right now in March, there's no safety net, I have no cert at all, there's zero backup. If I fail at this, I'm completely gone. That's a death ground, right? And Mr. Heng basically said that, Sun Tzu Bing Fa assumes that strategy, death ground strategy, assumes that the heaven, the Tian, is with you, right? We talk about a lot in Chinese, in Chinese what philosophy, I don't know, 天时地利人和, which is like everything has to be aligned. And the problem with this is that literally the heaven and conditions are against me. And so using this strategy would be stupid because I'm fighting actively against the tide. And it says that this is something that young people struggle with a lot. And old people, or more mature people rather, they know how to flow with the tide instead of actively fighting against it. So you can feel really sigma and alpha trying to fight against the tide, right? And thinking that, it's literally you against the world, because it is. But the world doesn't reward heroism. It rewards you winning. And sometimes winning requires you to do things that you don't want to do, including acting like a hero. And so that's the second lesson that I learned. And the last lesson that I learned is, don't fight the wrong war. I noticed that throughout my planning of dropping out, I was always thinking about myself. It was always me. And Mr. Heng said this, I think he just dropped it casually, but it really stuck with me, is that the negotiation is to appease them, not to appease you. The negotiation is to appease them, not to appease you. It's almost selfish in a sense that everything was surrounding my needs instead of their needs, right? I didn't think about my sister, who I love a lot actually, and would be really affected if, I dropped out, and then because of that, my parents exert tyrannical control over them, which, causes her to, I don't know what will happen, man. Things will get pretty bad, basically. And I didn't think about my mom and dad who are getting older and older. I don't know how they would react to this, right? My dad, who's pretty explosive in nature, how would she treat my mom if that happened? My mom, who is pretty emotionally unstable sometimes, would she faint on the spot? Would she cry and scream? Would she, do some stupid stuff? I didn't think about all these, and everything that I did was structured around what I wanted, what I desired, and what I needed. And if I mapped it out, like, why am I doing all of this? The reason I'm doing all of this is so that I can live the life of my dreams. And the life of my dreams includes me having absolute financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, but at the same time, being able to give back to the people that I love, being able to retire my parents, being able to give, people who need help. For instance, if my sister needs financial assistance, being able to help, all my relatives whenever they need any cash. And so doing this would then directly go against my long-term goals. And literally to bring back one of Sun Tzu's most famous quote, 知己知彼，百战百胜. Know yourself and the enemy, and you need not fear the results of 100 battles or something like that. So that's the third lesson that I learned, which is to ask what my parents want and then frame my entire argument around that. And this is literally the basics of sales, and I'm literally ashamed that I didn't get this. Now, with that in mind, let's get into Operation Sovereign. So let's get from the start. So right now, the critical principles that we use throughout this entire thing is this thing right here, which is why I put it here. This is called spectrum thinking, and it's really, really useful if you want to just, dominate in business, have a lot more options, and just, live a much better life. People struggle to think in terms of a spectrum. Normally they think in terms of binary terms. So I'm either very disciplined or I'm lazy. And lazy is bad, discipline is good. I'm either super confident or I'm very doubtful of myself, and confidence is good and doubtful is bad. They don't think in this spectrum and are unable to slide through it. And so this is a critical principle that I use throughout, whereby I thought about every single option possible within, this spectrum itself. And so all the way at one end of the spectrum is drop out before A-levels, and all the way to the other end of the spectrum is sit for A-levels and get through the year. And so these are the two options that I had. There's a lot in between, and so I branched it out. The ones that make most sense to me is drop out after March 18th, which is when I turn 18th. This is my birthday. So this is the initial plan. And the second one is doing it during June. Now, the other options don't make sense because prelims happen somewhere in August and September, I think, and then A-levels is in like October and November. And the other option I have over here is to get suboptimal grades, meaning to pass prelims to avoid red flags from the school, because Mr. Heng mentioned that, if I start failing at things, the school would flag me and then my parents would know, and then, things would get bad. Or is to actually study and just, get 70 RP, which is the highest score you can get for A-levels, like achieve good grades basically. And then this branches out to two different things. The dropout option either goes to parents agree or they disagree. If they agree, which is highly unlikely, I then get into the 4 months of free time I have before I go into national service. So business either thrives in a free window or business stalls in a free window. And what happens is, if it thrives, I'm able to maintain clients doing NS successfully through automation, and it branches out again, right? So I'm either able to maintain clients doing NS successfully through automation, or clients drop off during NS and I have low to no income. And this branches off to another 4 options, which is business maintained during NS, and once I'm out of NS, which will take about a year and 8 months, I can scale hard and then hit my goal, which is eventually $1 million a year business, and then we can take it from there, right? Now, the second thing that could happen is business decline, and I can rebuild with existing skills and use the savings that I have to reinvest in mentorship, and then we can go scale and then hit goal. Now, if this fails, what happens is I might have to pivot to a new skill or business model. If this succeeds, I'll hit my goal. If it fails, worst case scenario, I might have to retake A-level as a private candidate, and this would be really not good, right? Really bad. Okay, so that is basically almost every option that can happen if I choose this route. And the second thing is, what if they disagree? Well, I can spend the next few days, weeks, or even months convincing my parents, and if I succeed, then I go back to this entire flow again. If I fail, I'm unable to convince my parents, I'll go to either the A-level path or I'll stay enrolled but stop going to school. And this is basically back to that A1 route again. And I'll cover all of these routes later with you. And if I do this, two things will happen. Either I stay home in hostile environments where I come home and then my parents give me the cold shoulder, they're nagging at me every single day. Can't imagine it getting worse than now, but it'll be much worse than right now, trust me, man. And then, or I move out. Right, but it doesn't make sense because in NS, I'm going to rent, out an apartment for like, I don't know, 1 to 3K a month, and then go back to the apartment for 2 days. And how about like all the dirty clothes that I have? Like 7 days worth of stinky, like drenched in sweat clothes. And what am I going to do with it, man? And I'll be completely cooked by then. So how do I even work? And this then leads to C1 and C2. And chances are business probably going to stall. Because what tends to happen is your limbic system requires love. Basically, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? At the bottom is like physiological needs, and then it's what is it? Fuck, I forgot already. But basically, like, okay, let's just search it right now. Yeah, safety needs, and then love and belonging. So if you don't have love, you don't have relationships, you don't have a stable roof over your head, you're going to keep seeking those things. Which is why, to be completely honest with you, right now, because I don't have a girlfriend, right? I tend to have thoughts of girls. And so there's every other 17 and 18-year-old who doesn't have a partner right now. And that's the relationship, seeking mechanism that we all have. Obviously, there's like ways to numb it, but most people are numbing it through like, a TikTok, all of that, just flooding their brains with dopamine so that they don't naturally seek relationships, but I don't do that. And so it's something that's on my head as well. Okay, so that's basically everything for the dropout side of things. And now what happens on the other side? So let's say we take this route and I'm unable to convince my parents, I go back to D3. Now, D3 is somewhere here, but let's just go through this first. So I either can get suboptimal grades, and then I tell my parents, bro, you see, I study already, I listen to you now, but I'm just not made for studying, bro. But my business made X so far, so let me continue trying that. And then this leads to C1 and C2. Okay, so let's not judge this first. We'll evaluate it together later. Now, actually study, get 70 RP, we can negotiate a gap year, which is typically like, in case you don't know what it is, it's like a year between NS and university. So most people take that gap year to like explore more options, to fly around, to maybe even start a business and see how it goes. And so if parents agree to this, income in 1 year serves as massive proof. I'm very sure if I sit down for at least 1 year, I could make like something amazing. If the income is underwhelming, parents push for uni. I can either go to uni running this and scale after uni completed, hit go, extend gap year to succeed, and hit go. If parents disagree, then we can do D5, which is go to uni, refuse uni and assert independence. In the end, biz income strong, they come out eventually, hit go. Biz income weak, I told you so. And then back to D2. So this shit low-key complicated, right? Back to D2 right here. And then continue. And then, okay, enroll in, or another option that I have is enroll in uni, attend 1 semester, prove business better than degree, drop out, or enroll in uni, don't attend, get expelled or withdraw, forget to apply to uni, apply wrongly, and then go back to, this basically is C7, but it's just different ways to approach it. And the other one is enroll in uni during NS. I got into NUS NTU, I also have this business learning, let me take a gap year, and if it doesn't work, I'll take the uni spot. So this then goes to A1, which is basically this route over here. So that's everything, basically. And when I mapped it out, my overall execution path, I'm going to show you exactly what it is. It's a hybrid. But before that, let me just run you through how I make decisions, right? And you can literally use this for yourself if you want to. So when you make decisions, please don't just go based off your intuition. Like, it's a valuable tool, but for huge decisions like this that could affect literally like years of your life and the entire trajectory of your life, you probably could do some, calculations or be more methodical in your approach. So you want to list like the most important variables that matter the most to you. And so firstly, you think about, okay, what are all the variables that would help me make my decision? Okay, it could be the income that I made, it could be the time to freedom, and you want to list everything, and eventually you should be able to, through elimination, right, get the most important things for yourself. So for me, that is growth potential. How well does this path position me to compound over the next 5 to 10 years? Time to freedom. How quickly do you reach the point where I'm full-time on my business with no school, no NS, no parental constraints? Fallback options. If business fails at any point on this path, how many recovery routes exist? Downside magnitude. If the worst realistic case happens on this path, how bad is it? Optionality. How many future doors does this path keep open? Doors you may not even know you want yet, right? And it's different from fallback. And lastly is personal cost, which is how much psychological weight does this path put you on across its duration. And so I looked at the worst case scenario for path A, B, C, and D, and we can cover it right now. So doing this D, right? Why is it so stupid? Okay, if they refuse, I'm a minor, so I can't self-withdraw. I stop attending school call parents. So other than the initial blow up I have, because I tell my parents that, I don't want to go to school, there's going to be a second blow up when the school calls my parents. And my extended family is going to find out, they're going to ring my phone, and a lot of bad shit is going to happen. And the ultimatum is go back to school or get out of my house, which is probably going to happen. And then I'm going to move out, which means I'm going to waste literally probably 2 to 4K a month just in Singapore because it's fucking expensive here. Because I'm stressed and because I essentially lost my family, it destroys my focus. My copy quality drops, my biggest client leaves, and so my income comes crashing from 10K to 3K a month. After rent, I could be barely surviving. And this means I'm 18 years old, I'm alone in a rental room, no friends are doing this, I have no peers, and there's no support system as well. And the worst part is, okay, let's say 4 months of making 1 to 3K a month, barely covering my expenses and breaking even, meaning that every month I net like a couple $100, and as enlistment arrives. So immediately I'm stripped of another 2 years of my freedom, and I'm physically destroyed every week, and on weekends I feel really sad and pissed off. I might not even have a place to go back to. I might have to stay in the camp. Imagine that, having to stay in the camp and not being able to go back to your house during national service. I'm too drained to service clients, they leave one by one, income hits zero. I can't afford rent on NS allowance, and my entire family hates me. That means that the debt I owe to my mom is untouched as well. I have 12 more months of camp. I leave camp at 20 years old and I walk out with only my O-levels, with no savings, no clients, no business, and a broken family. I tried to restart, but at that point the market has shifted, AI has changed the game, and all of my old contacts has gotten new clients. And so the only path back to credentials is to retake A-levels, which means another 1 to 2 years of studying, and it's the exact thing I dropped out to avoid. And the worst thing is, every family gathering that I go to, every dinner that I have with people that know what I've gone through, they're going to give me that look, the mixed look of pity, of superiority as well, right? And I'm 21, my classmates are in year 2 of NUS, I'm starting from zero with nothing. This is the absolute worst case scenario, and this is fucking hell, man. This is literally hell on earth. Now path B, which is dropout in June, it's the same thing, but 3 months of tension building since March. One of the huge things that people don't mention that actually seems really painful is to be dumb in class, especially since, you can tell that, I like philosophy a lot, I read quite a lot, and so part of my identity is that I am an intelligent person. And so my goal right now requires me to not spend any time studying at all, because I need to devote as much time as possible to the business, which means that in school when teachers ask me questions, I don't know fucking shit. And so it's painful, right, when teachers ask you stuff and you have to immediately ask your friends. You're literally on the edge of your seat every time there's a pause between when the teacher asks a question and he or she raises a head looking for someone to answer. It doesn't feel good, man, but this is what I have to endure. This is the price to pay to hit my goals. So, my mom has hardened her position, and there's a united front against me from all of the family on both my mom and my dad's side. And I've endured 3 months of extra school and got nothing from it, and I regret both ways. I should have left in March, and I should have just finished. Now, path C, which is to half-ass it. to get like C's and D's and still run the business at the same time. That means neither gets my best, which means business stay flat or drops. This is the worst case scenario. No systems built, debt not cleared, and A-level results are like CDD, which means my mom and dad will be devastated. My parents say, bro, you are just a fucking piece of shit, you're a bum. What's next, man? So at that point, it puts me in a very, very bad position to get what I want to do, right? And worst case scenario, path D, which is have a cert, good grades, and that's done. Because I know for a fact that if I study, it's literally impossible to get below a 70 RP. Because when you are able to focus, no, generally as a dude, right, if you can make money, like you have made more than $10,000 in a month before, and you work out, like if you're generally fit, there's literally like nothing that you can't do. And I'm saying that with a straight face, like there's nothing you can't do, because the skills that are required to get these things and the traits that are required to get these things, they overlap across a lot of domains. And so to excel in studying, you need to be consistent, you need to be disciplined, right? Sometimes you need to, what else do you need for studying? You just need to be consistent and disciplined, and that's basically, and you need to know what to do, right? It's very, very low barrier to entry and barrier to win. It's very, very easy to win. I know that sounds crazy, right? If right now you're in school and your grades are not that excellent, but try just spending 10 to 12 hours a day from now all the way to your A-levels, doing nothing but studying, sacrificing everything. It's literally impossible for you to fail out, like to not get top 1%. Like it's just going to happen, right? It's just whether you want to become that person that can do it. And most of the times it's not even worth it, right? Because it's just grades. And so the worst case scenario for this path D is my mom just thinks that I've been lying it to everyone along. I've been lying to everyone all this while, and then maybe the business is not doing that well. So this is not that bad, right? You can see that. And so let's base off this, the worst case scenarios. Let's go into the first. Where's the first one? This is expectancy value. So this is how I make my decisions. Now I have all these factors, right? And so what I do is I put down the significance of it, like how much do I care about these, and then the chance, and then the percentage likelihood that, how do I explain this? Yeah, it's basically this probability that this path delivers a good outcome on this particular factor itself. And I had ChatGPT help me take a neutral standpoint and evaluate it for me. So path A gives a net negative EV of 2.95, right? And you can see how it evaluates. Obviously, I'm going to look through this, right? I'm not going to let GPT make the decision for me. Path B has a net EV of negative 0.4, and so it's slightly better. And the reason for this is because there's more growth potential, there's less time to freedom, but in terms of downside magnitude and personal cost, it's a lot less. Because by June, I'll be able to have a lot more proof, social proof, as compared to in March, where I only made 1 month above, 10K a month. And there's still like a huge negative experience associated with business that my mom has due to my past agency crash. Now path C itself, getting suboptimal grades, is negative 1.25 because it's the worst growth positioning. Half-assing both domains is not good. Right, it's basically not good. And personal costs as well, right? 8 months of soul draining half commitment, which I really hate, right? Doing things like just not giving your best for something. And then path D, getting good grades. This actually gives me the best expectancy value. And funny enough, this is the path that I really do not want to do. I've polarized myself to not want to study. And obviously this ties back to like the hero complex thing that I was talking about. Right, that I want to be different and all of that. But this is the best way to achieve my goals. This is the best way to achieve my goals. Okay, so let's move on. Another one is good grades, but just don't go uni. This is take a gap year, and obviously this is like pretty decent as well. And so this is the final ranking. Now, path D is the highest EV move, which means this is my first choice. And so the eventual plan that I landed on is do a hybrid B to D execution. And what I mean by that is B is to, the reason why B did not get a positive EV or a high EV is because if I do not have enough proof, it doesn't make sense for me to make the move. Oh, that rhymed. By June, I would be 18th already, which means that I'll be able to rent a house. If I made a consistent 10 to 20k income in June itself, I have so much more proof playing in my favor, because I would have an extra March, April, May, June. I have extra 3 months as well. I'll basically have 7 months that I can use to create systems. So there's a lot more runway for me, right? And if you go through Socratic questioning, Socratic reasoning, which is just asking yourself a lot of why. So why do you want to take the A levels? Well, take the A levels so that I can get good grades for A levels. Okay, why do I want a good grade for A level? Well, I want a good grade for A level because I want to get to the best uni possible. Okay, why do I want to get to the best uni possible? So that I can get the best certification / degree / whatever possible. Okay, why do I want the best degree possible? Well, it's because I want to get the best job, or / I want to climb the corporate ladder as fast as possible. Okay, why do I want to get the best job? And why do I want to climb the corporate ladder as fast as possible? Well, I want to make the most money possible. Okay, why do I want to make the most money possible? Then you can branch out to a lot of other things. But the main goal is to make the most money possible. And if I'm already doing all of that, I basically save myself like an additional 3 to 5 steps. I'm like 3 to 5 steps ahead. So by that reasoning, it makes the most sense for me to take path B right now as the initial approach. But if it doesn't work, then I have to do path D. And it doesn't matter that I really hate studying, that I don't want to study, that literally every single cell in my body does not want to touch any study materials, especially China studies in Chinese, which is such a waste of time. I'm going to have to do it because this is the best way to reach my goals, right? The universe is indifferent and it doesn't care whether you achieve your goals or not. And so sometimes you just need to become the person that would be able to achieve your goal. And your goal set the conditions for you to behave. The conditions at which you need to behave. That doesn't mean. That sounds weird. Okay, just forgive me, man. It's been a long day, bro. But yeah, your goal sets the conditions of which you need to behave. And I'm not even gonna cut this out, man. Oh, fuck it. Whatever. Okay, so with this in mind, B to D is our plan. And I'm gonna record like all the phases. So we'll have a pretty nice documentary. It's gonna be the first actually decent video that I post out. Right now my entire plan is just to document my entire journey. I really don't give a fuck whether anyone watches this or not. And so if you're watching this, cheers. Probably a lot of people are going to be watching this in the future, like, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. So the rule is, if I hit the goal by June, I execute dropout. If I miss the goal, I set path D gracefully and I study. I lock in and I study. And so the goal number is at least 10k a month for March, April, and May. It's okay to oscillate a little, but it's best if I can show linear growth. Because I'm pretty sure that the core desire that my parents have is stability. And so if I can show them stability, they should be fine. And so this is split into 6 different phases. And the macro goals for phase 1 to 3, which is stack up as much cash as possible, collect as many testimonials as possible, learn AI and create systems in place so my business can survive and as with minimal input, focus on learning / skill acquisition over cash collected, and absorb systems from all the businesses that I'm in, reverse engineer, and then be able to implement these systems to automate my business. And so phase 1 is right now, and I've already done this. Couple of things, which is right now I have actually another agency opportunity and I'm going in 50-50 with this guy that I found online. He's very knowledgeable. He's doing he's doing growth operating. So past month has made about $600,000 for his clients combined. And he's looking for someone that has that is great at copywriting and is as hungry as him, and that's me. So hopefully it goes well. Right now it's just in the planning stage, and there's so much I have to learn, really, so much I have to learn. And this guy's insane, but yeah, man, I'll do everything it takes. So March to April, there's going to be no rest at all. It's just work. Build NS proof systems, track income meticulously. And my plan for this, to disarm the debt argument, which is probably the biggest objection, is to have 10 to 15k set aside. So I'm going to withdraw this cash, have it in like an envelope, and then during the day where I present this argument, I'm just going to, you know, start off by pushing the cash into her hands and say, you know, I know that I've made a huge mistake previously, business has been going well, and so I want to give you this first as a thank you for supporting me during that time. So I'll lead with that, and I'll keep the rest as personal runway. For school, I'll tend enough to not get flagged. I'll not try and burn any bridges with anyone. I do not study yet. This is a June decision. And update all teachers on my situation to get them off my back. So the thing about our teachers, about Hwa Chong teachers, is that most of them are really great teachers, and that's literally a problem if you put it in context against my goals, right? They care a lot. Every teacher that is not in the CSE department, at least, they care a lot about their students. At least the teachers that, you know, I have. This is such a generalization, so I hope Hwa Chong doesn't sue me or some shit. But the teachers are really great. These teachers that I have, and Mr. Heng as well, and they care a lot about their students, right? And so when they see a student not performing up to his potential, they will get on your ass. They will start asking you a lot of questions, and all of that stuff. And so I think it's best to be transparent with them and just explain, you know, everything that's going on, so they have a clear picture as to what's happening as well. And I think I can also, you know, kill two birds with one stone and gain intel from them. As parents themselves, what will their concerns be, and then use that as, you know, valuable intel to shape the way that I'm going to frame this argument to my parents. And obviously, I'm not going to be saying anything about a dropout. There are going to be 6 conversations that I have with my parents, and I actually laid it out for you. I have a plan as well. But the first 4 conversations will take place this month, and the first 2 are to understand my mom's and dad's core desires. And so this is where my sales skills come into play again. This is really just the discovery process. I really want to understand deeply what actually matters most to them. And then the third and fourth thing, this is thanks to Mr. Heng again. He says first close them on the gap here. Once you have that, there is more flexibility, because at least path D, which is the gap year, would work. At least that path would work. And so this one should have little resistance, right? And the key thing that I need to remember over here that's so important, right? Especially as time passes, I can notice that, you know, the teachers are starting to get on my ass. Things are starting to get really uncomfortable. You know, obviously part of me also doesn't like judgment from people, because I know that people are secretly judging what I do, but again, it doesn't matter. But again, you will think about it because you are human, right? The only reason that I'm in school right now is to buy myself time. I'm not a student. I'm a business owner using school as a shield against early enlistment. And as weird as that sounds, that is a statement that I need to hammer into my brain, because my goal requires me to believe in this statement right now and to act it out. So this is a statement that I really need to nail into my brain. Now phase 2 is that conversation. So mid to late May, which is like May 15th or 25th, I'm going to have this conversation with my dad. And this conversation is not, okay bro, I'm going to drop out. It's, I've been thinking about it. And you know, these are all the numbers. This is what I've been doing so far. And these are all my options. So this is, again, Mr. Heng's idea, so really thankful to him for this. So before I even talk to him, I have to have all of this stuff. And then after the conversation, I assess. If that is receptive, proceed to phase 3. If it's neutral, uncertain, given 2 more weeks, show the numbers and make the thing that I have to have, right, is I need to be making income, or not. This entire plan is fucked. I need to be making income. And if that is firmly against, then I have to think about something else for phase 3. So phase 3 is the decision. And so this is going to happen during the halfway through June, I think. Mid-June gives me maximum proof, because there'll be a lot of months back-to-back that are stacked together. And even if they say no, I still have 2 weeks before term 3 to pivot emotionally and start committing to studying. Right? And this is my June checklist. And this is, you know, my dad's response. Which could be 4 different things can happen. I really hope it's this, but I'm quite sure it's going to be this, right? Now, important thing, if all boxes check, talk to mom. And this is phase 3, the conversation with my mom. If income is not at go, do not attempt, because it means that you failed. And if I failed, it means that maybe this is not for me right now. Maybe it's not for me right now. And I have to pivot to path D and study, because that is the best path for me to reach my goals. As much as I hate it, you can literally hear the pain in my voice. If income at go but that is firmly against, it's my call really, because I would have the resources at that time to do whatever I want. If conditions not met by June 15, path D is locked in, and that is locking in for studies. Now, one of the other reasons that I want to do it in June is because one of my clients actually wants to fly me out to Venice to work together with him. He's making about $1 million a month, and I'm his dedicated YouTube script writer, and I hope to be able to advance to his chief marketing officer and scale his business up to 3 million a month, 5 million a month. So the opportunity to do this at such a young age, I think it's just really freaking dumb if I don't do it. Like, people will literally pay, you should literally pay to do this, man, to absorb the paradigms of someone that's making literally millions of dollars every single month. And so that'd be really dumb to not do that. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to do it in June as well. Now, if I need to pivot to D, again, thinking of the worst case scenario, June to November means I have 5 months to study for the A-levels. I think it's completely possible. Since it's, I think it's 4H2 or something, is it 4H2? I can drop CSC, which is great because I really hate that shit. So I have to study the entire J1 to J2 syllabus. I have to get A's for GP, Math, Chem, and Bio. I have to use June holidays as an intensive catch-up period, which will be 2 weeks actually, because the first 2 weeks are, I still haven't told my parents yet, right? And I can consider tuition or consultation for weaker subject if needed, because I have the money. And so if I pivot to D, I have to fully commit, and I have to reduce my business or shut it down. Studying will become the priority. So phase 4, and I don't want to map this out in extreme detail yet because a lot of things can change, is either the taste of freedom or back to school. If I've executed it, it's a free window, and I've 3 to 4 months before NS enlistment, go full send on business and go overseas and build like systems, right? And clear remaining debt to my mom. If I go back to school, this is what's going to happen. Now, phase 5 is me being enlisted for national service, so a lot of things can change over here, so I don't want to talk about it yet. I'm literally considering I could potentially do the commander route because I don't want to do something that's in the middle. Like, if I'm stuck there, I might as well do something really hard, right? And something that's challenging and something that's fun. So, let's see how that goes. And then phase 6 is, once I'm sovereign, then I can start my own thing, or just continue scaling the current thing that I have, which is an agency that I'm starting, with George. And so copywriting is going to die, by the way. So copywriting is going to die. I estimate, dude, you can clip this shit, right? Clip this shit. Copywriting is going to die by 2028 to 2033, because copy is going to get commoditized by AI. Watch me predict the future, but this shit is going to happen. And at that time, the people that survive or people that win, they have become one-man AI operators. So it's just someone handling the funnel completely from A to Z. Okay, now with that in mind, this is the entire timeline, right? I think we have this already. And so the conversation playbook. So how am I going to approach this conversation with my parents? That's a great question. So the first things first, and I'm literally going to do this today, you can see right now, I'm going to do it during dinner, which happens in like 30 minutes, is understand my mom's core desires. So I have to be very casual about it, and I'm going to bring my phone with me to record, so just so I can use it for the documentary, and I can also transcribe it, right? And then go think about it and study it in more detail. So let me just look at this and just rehearse, right, at the same time. Mama, I've been thinking a lot about my future recently. What do you hope for me? Like, when you imagine me at 30, what does that look like to you? And then I'll shut up and let her talk, and then tell me more about that. And then, why? I just want to get to like the core drive. And so after that, write it down, and then do the same thing for that, and then pitch the gap year. And I'll do this in a kind of way hope. We don't want to make it extremely like it seems like a setup. It has to be very, very casual and very natural into the conversation, right? So for the gap year, it's obviously not going to be, dude, I'm not going to go uni, I just need 1 year. I've been thinking, I might want to take a gap year. What do you think about it? And just give them more information. So I need to find more information about the gap year itself, right? Because right now I'm not really sure why people take gap years. I only know, I remember last time when I was in Learning Lab, which is this really expensive tuition in Singapore for like English or something. That's like in my primary school days. There was this teacher, and her daughter took like a 2-year gap year. 2 gap years basically to just travel around the world, apparently immersing in other countries' culture before going to uni. I think that's hella fun, man. But again, it's kind of dumb. I mean, depends what goal she's optimizing for, obviously, but yeah. And then pitch a gap year to mom as well. And so potential resources. Okay, that actually sounds like I'm using them. Okay, maybe we can reword this shit. But potential resources is, I could either ask Mr. Heng to speak to my parents directly if things go badly, or have him write a letter of message or support I can show them, or endorsement from one of my cousins that my mom really likes a lot and often asks me to, ask advice from, to use as social proof in conversation 6. And I should do that between conversation 4 and conversation 5, just as extra ammunition. Now, conversation 5 is real pitch to that with proof, and conversation 5.5 is going to be debt repayment to mom before that conversation itself. And that conversation 6 is going to be the big moment. And one huge thing that I want to mention is, it might seem like in this video that my parents are the enemy. Like, the obstacle between me and what I want to do are my parents. And I've thought about this quite a bit. Yes, that might be the case, but we could reframe it, right? The only way I'll be able to do what I want to do is if I get the approval or like the full support of them. I don't need their permission, but I would love to have their support. And when I have that support, my limbic system will feel safe, and that allows me to focus better on work, which is just a positive spiral. And so this very obstacle is the way. It's a stepping stone for me to get what I want. And so it's not because of them I'm unable to do what I want to do, but it's precisely because of them that I have the opportunity to do what I want to do. So what stands in the way becomes the way, which is what, Ryan Holiday, which is this American author that is very into Stoic philosophy, often talks about, right? So that's basically it. This has been such a long video, and let's just see how next week goes, man. So I've sat down recently and thought a lot about life and just the way that I'm operating, and there'll be probably quite a few weird videos coming up. Yeah, there's probably gonna be quite a few weird videos coming up. But hopefully, things go to plan. And yeah, man, that's Operation Sovereign.